revealing all about GST and VAT calculations. In this video, I will show you, using actual receipts, how to calculate the complete sets of GST and VAT components, the tax amount, the price before and after tax at any rate of your choice. I will also show you how to derive the GST and VAT formulas and how to use Microsoft Excel to simulate the calculations. So whether you are a learner, a manager, or a student, power on your calculator. This time you will learn it once and for all. But before we dive in, remember to like, share, comment, and don't forget to subscribe. My name is Naida. Welcome to the Insight Experts Education channel. Hello and welcome back. Today's topic is about GST. And in this video, you will learn how to calculate the GST elements for any given goods and services at any given rate. A quick run through about what to expect in this video. First, a quick overview of the GST definitions and calculations. Then I will present you with the complete sets of GST formulas which you need to be aware of, the meaning and calculation of each, the GST amount, the price before and after GST, and the relationship between each. And of course, we will go through several examples using actual invoices and receipts to show you how to perform different type of GST related components at the rate of 10% or any other rate of your choice. Now, for those of you who are keen to learn, I will show you step by step on how to derive the complete sets of GST formulas. Also, throughout this video, I will be using Microsoft Excel to demonstrate and show you how to simulate and perform GST related calculations. So there's a lot to learn. Just follow me on this learning journey, and by the end of this video, you will be able to perform any GST related calculations for any situation. First, an overview of the GST. GST is an indirect tax. It is called so because it's actually levied on goods and services rather than on income and profits. It is abbreviated as GST, which stands for Good and Services Tax. However, it's also known under other names in other countries, such as VAT or TVA, but at the end of the day, it is the same concept with different rates. Now, GST is levied on different levels, right from the supplier to the consumer level, and in many cases, those involved in the production and supplying chain get the money back. And at the end of the day, it's only the consumer who ends up paying the GST. Now, registered retailers at point of sales collect this extra money called GST from the consumers on behalf of the government or on behalf of the taxman and pay it back to the taxman when it is due. Now, GST rate in Australia is fixed at around, or actually exactly 10%, and it is actually one of the lowest around the world. However, most basic foods, education courses, medical health, care products and services are GST free. Now, when it comes to other countries, the GST is variable. You've got also the standard and reduced rates. Some of the GST rates around the world: Singapore 7%, UK 20%, India, one of the highest in the world, is 28%, and Greece 23%. What you need to know as far as GST or VAT or TVA, it is actually a source of revenue for the government and which get distributed to the states and territories to provide services including health, education, and other services. There are 5 common GST formulas that you would use or you would come across. Now, here is a list of the 5 formulas applicable at the rate of 10%. And before we start talking about each one, let's just look at the definitions. Now, GST is the tax amount and is expressed in dollars. PI is the amount you pay at point of sales, and that includes the GST amount. In other words, PI is the price including GST expressed in dollars or any other currency. PE is the recommended retail price before applying the GST amount. So PE is the price excluding GST and also expressed in dollars or any other currency. Now, the formulas are split into 2 categories. We have category 1, which includes formula 1, 2, and 3, and describes the different ways of calculating the GST. Any of those, equation 1, 2, or 3 would give you the same GST answer. Now, which one to use depends on what you have. Now, the other category consists of equation 4 and 5, and that describes the relationship between the price before and after tax and how to calculate each. Now, let's go through each one by one, starting with equation number 1. So let's just take this example. Let's say, for example, a retailer is selling a product with a recommended retail price of PE. In other words, PE is the price excluding GST. Now, for the sake of this example, I will assume that this product has a recommended retail price of $15. If this retailer is GST registered and the product is not GST exempt, the retailer has an obligation to add 10% GST on top of that. Now, that 10% GST equates into $1.50, which is the GST amount. Now, when I add both the price excluding GST and the GST amount, I get $16.50, which is the price including GST, and that is the price payable by the customer at point of sales. So with that example, let's go ahead and calculate the GST in 3 different ways. Equation 1, equation 2, or equation 3. So equation 1 states that the GST can be calculated by subtracting the price excluding GST from the price including GST. So if we come to this example here, we have the price including GST is $16.50 and price excluding GST is $15. So let's go ahead and do the calculations as per formula number 1. So GST is equal to $16.50 minus $15. And that is $1.50. So that's one way of calculating the GST, which is subtracting the 2 prices from each other. Now, the other way of calculating GST is equation number 2. Equation number 2 states that to calculate the GST, all what you have to do is simply divide the price excluding GST by 10. In this case, if I come here and the price excluding GST is $15 over 10, again, that is equal to $1.50. So I get exactly the same answer. The third way of calculating the GST, this time if I have the price including GST. So all what I have to do is divide the $16.50 by 10, or sorry, by 11 this time, and I will get exactly the same answer, $1.50. So as you can see, there are 3 ways of calculating the GST. In equation 1, if I have the 2 prices, I simply subtract them from each other. There will be some situations where you only have the recommended retail price and you want to calculate the GST, so you would use equation number 2. Equation number 3 is the most common one, which is applicable when you have a receipts, which includes the GST simply divided by 11. I just have a few things to remind you about the numbers 10 and 11 in equation number 2 and equation number 3. Now, a lot of people ask, why is it 10? Is it because the rate is 10%? Well, it's purely coincidental. It's not always the case. As you will see later on, if the GST rate is 12%, doesn't mean that I have to divide this equation by 12. It's purely coincidental. Once we get to the derivation section of the GST formulas, we will talk about that. The same thing when it comes to the number 11 here. It's something to do with the way the formula is actually derived, which we will talk about later on. Another way of reading equation number 2 is as follows: that the GST amount is equal to 1/10 of the recommended retail price. 1/10 of the recommended retail price. So if I come here and draw this block, which is equivalent to the blue blocks up there, and divide it into equal 10 segments, exactly the same size. Each one has a size of 1/10, and so on. What the taxman is telling the retailer is to take 1/10, any of this 1/10, and add it on top of the recommended retail price, and that becomes the payable GST. So the GST is equal to 1/10. So that's another way of reading equation number 2. Equation number 3 is the same thing, but this time what it means here, that the GST amount is equal to 1/11 of the price including GST. So it's either 1/10 of the price excluding GST or 1/10 of the price including GST. So again, if I take the whole block here, the whole block, and divide it into equal 1/11 segment, what the taxman is saying, I want to take 1/11 of the whole lot. So if I have 11 segments here, and simply that equates into 1/11, which is the GST amount payable to the taxman. So that's what equation 3 is all about. Now let's move on to equation number 4. So 4 and 5 basically describe the relationship between the price before and after tax. In order to calculate the price including GST, you just have to take PE, the $15 or any amount, and multiply it by 1.1. So in this case, if I multiply 1.1 by 15, it's $16.50. So at any point of time, I want to calculate the price including GST, I multiply the recommended retail price by exactly the number 1.1, and that is applicable when the GST rate is equal to 10%. Now, and vice versa, if I want to calculate the price excluding GST, and I have the price including GST, all what I have to do is simply divide it by 1.1. So in our example here, we have PI equals to $16.50. We divide it by 1.1, and that is equal to $15. So just a quick recap before we start doing some actual examples. Equation 1, 2, and 3 describe 3 ways of calculating the GST, and equation 4 and 5 describe the relationship between price before and after tax. Now let's go through some actual examples, and for your reference, I've listed the GST formulas on the right hand side of the screen for your quick reference, along with the definitions of each variable such as the GST, PI, and PE. Now let's look at this example from a petrol station. A customer bought a certain amount of petrol or diesel, and they paid at point of sales $111.50. So that's how much they paid after tax. And part of that is $10.14, which is the GST amount. So that's the price including GST. Let's go ahead and just do all the calculations. So if I come here and just write the price including GST in dollars, which what the customer paid at point of sales is $111.50. The GST amount in dollars is $10.14. So how did I actually arrive at that number? So since I have PI, if I come on the right hand side and look at equation number 3, because PI is available here. So from equation number 3, which state that the GST amount is equal to PI over 11. And that equals to $111.50 over 11, which is equal to exactly $10.40, which is the GST amount. Now, what about the price excluding GST? And normally you don't see that on the on the receipts, but let's just, for the sake of this example, we're going to try and calculate it. There's many ways of doing it. You can use equation number 1, you can use equation number 2, but I've decided to use equation number 5 here. So from equation number 5, which state that the price excluding GST can be calculated by dividing PI, this time by 1.1. So it's exactly the same amount, which is $111.50 over 1.1. And that equals to $101.36. So this is GST, and that's the price excluding GST. So let's just put this information on a graph using the block here. Let's say this represents the product that the retailer is selling. So in our case here, this is the GST amount, and that's the price excluding GST. And in our calculation, that is equal to $101.36. The GST amount is equal to $10.14. And of course, if you add PE plus GST, the whole amount is equal to the price including GST, and that equals to $111.49. So what happens is that the retailer will keep this money, this amount of money, which is $101.36. The taxman will receive from the retailer the amount of $10.14, and you as a customer will end up paying the full amount, which is $111.49. Now here is an example from a supermarket. This time I have two products. The customer paid at point of sales the total of $9.20. That's being the price including GST, and part of it is the GST amount, which is really 56 cents. Let's go ahead and verify that information. So as I said before, the most common equation is number 3 whenever I have PI. So if I come here and say from equation number 3, which is $9.20 over 11, I get 83 cents. 83 cents, which is not the same here because we've got 56. So why is it different? Well, let me tell you something. If you look closely at the receipts, you will see not all items are taxable. Only those where you've got percentages next to them. So in this case, if you look here, you will see that item 1, understandably being a food item, is not really, it's actually GST exempt, whereas the second one is a taxable one. So that's hence the difference. So how do we go ahead and calculating the 56 cents? So you can actually do it individually. So I'm going to come here and just draw this table. So I'm going to call this item 1, and that's item 2. So the item 1 and item 2. And we have the price including GST, the GST amount, and the price excluding GST. And of course, they're all in dollars. The price including GST for the first item, the parsley, is $3. There's no GST on it since it is GST exempt, so it's 0. And of course, the price before and after GST is exactly the same, so that's actually $3 here. Now, item number 2 is the soda, which is taxable. The customer paid $6. Oops, let me just fix that. $6.20. The tax payable, GST payable on it is as per equation number 3. So if you come to equation number 3 here, the GST amount is equal to $6.20 over 11, which is equal 56 cents. So I'll copy it just at the top here. That's 56 cents. Now the price before the GST, there's many equations to use, probably equation number 3 or number 5, From equation number 5, you simply divide PI by 1.1, and you will get $5.63. All right. So in total is $9.20. The GST amount payable is 56 cents, and the price before GST would be equal to $8.63. Again, what happens graphically, 56 cents goes to the taxman. Now the supermarket will pocket as a gross profit of $8.63, and you as a customer will end up paying the total, which is $9.20. One more thing I will leave you is before we go to the next example. Again, if you want to calculate the GST amount and you have a blended items, GST exempt and non-exempt, the only way to do that is, remember, is to do the calculation manually. Now, here's an example from a pharmacy product bought by a customer. They paid in total $9.99 being the price after tax. And part of that is 91 cents being the GST amount. I mean, yeah, we can calculate the GST amount using formula number 3, but I'm going to actually look at it from a different perspective here. So let's say now I'm going to draw the graph first, and I know that the price including GST is $9.99, which what the customer paid at point of sales. And the GST amount is equal to 1/11 of that amount. So the taxman would request, so if this is PE, I don't know PE yet, but I know PI. The GST amount, the taxman requests the retailer to pay 1/11 of that amount. So in other words, we divide it by, we multiply it by 1/11, which is the same thing as equation number 3. I'm not doing anything differently. All what I'm saying is I'm trying to read this from a different perspective. But at the end of the day, the GST amount as per equation number 3 is PI over 11 and that equals to 91 cents. And of course, you can calculate the if you like the price excluding GST, and if you do that, you will get $9.08. Now here is another example of a receipt showing 3 items with the customer paying $21 in total, which include GST. The GST amount is $1.91. So please feel free to pause this video and give it a go yourself. Otherwise, you can just follow me on this silent journey as I will do the calculation. Let's go. Let's look at this example, problem solving. If an item is priced at $230 including GST, find the GST amount. So what do we have here? We have PI is equal to $230. And automatically I think of equation number 3 to find the GST amount. So from equation number 3, it's 230 by 11 is $20.90. Now find the price before GST. Before GST, there's many ways of doing it. I can use equation number 1, or I can use equation number 5 if I like. So from equation number 5, all what I have to do to find PE is take the price after tax, 230, and divide it by exactly 1.1. That would give me $209.10 to the nearest 10 cents, roughly. If an item is priced at $2,330, this time excluding GST, it's excluding GST, I need to find the GST amount. So now I cannot apply equation number 3 because I don't have PI, but I have PE. And since I have PE, equation 2 is valid. So the GST amount from equation number 2 is $2,330 by 10. And that is the amount of GST payable on the product. Now find the price after GST. So I mean, it's obviously if I just add PE plus the GST amount, I get the price after tax. Or there are many other equations, and if you like, you can use equation number 4, so you don't have to use the GST amount. I simply from equation number 4, the price after tax is equal to 1.1 times the price before tax. I already have 2,330, and the price after tax is equal to $2,563. So graphically, we have 2,563 and the recommended retail price is $2,330. Let's look at this example. Tom is retailing printers at $410 each before GST. Now, question A, how much does he need to add on top of the retail recommended price of the printer to cover the GST? So $410 is in fact the retail recommended price, which is in other words the price before tax or excluding GST. The question asks about calculating the GST amount, which he needs to add on top of the $410. Now, since PE is available, I can go ahead and apply equation number 2, so that from equation number 2, the GST amount is equal to PE over 10 $41 is what he needs to add on top of the printer before he lists for sale. Now, question number B, how much the customer would have to pay in total? Well, the customer would have to pay the retailer share plus the taxpayer share. So in other words, the price including GST is the PE plus the GST amount. That's one way of doing it. So that's actually using equation number 1, but rearranging it to make PI the subject. So from equation number 1, or you can actually do it also from equation number 4 as well. Equation number 4, PI equal 1.1 times PE. It's $451, which what the customer would have to pay in total. A company will reimburse its employees for the costs associated with having the company annual picnic. Reimbursement is subject to presenting relevant receipt and will exclude any paid GST. Rena arranged the catering for the picnic and submitted receipts totaling to $735.60, which includes GST. How much does Rena expect to be reimbursed by her company? So the situation is as follows. The company is happy to pay back for this picnic. However, they will only pay for any amount excluding GST. Now, Rena has the receipts, which include GST, so she has a job of extracting the GST amount and then submitting the receipt for reimbursement. So what do we have here? This is actually the price including GST. Price including GST. So if I just look at equation 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, there's many ways of doing it, but the quickest way is equation number 5, because by default, PE is the price excluding GST. So if I come here and say from equation number 5, PE, which is the price excluding GST, I divide $735.60 over 1.1 would be equal to $668.70. So that's how much she has to submit for reimbursement to her company. Now, if you just compare between the 735 and the 668, if you just subtract one from the other one, you will find that the GST actually is about $66.80, which is not payable back to Rena, only $668.70. This is an interesting question. This time we have the GST amount, and the question is to find the price before and after GST. So how do we find the GST amount, the price before and after GST when the GST amount is given? So again, the price excluding GST, so what we want here is PE, and we want PI here when the GST amount is given. So we can go and look at equation number 2, which state that the GST amount is 1/10 of the price excluding GST. If you rearrange this, in other words, the price excluding GST is 10 times the GST amount. With that in mind, if I come and just multiply 10 by 2350, I will get $235, which is the price before GST. Find the price after GST. Many ways of doing it. You can use equation number 1 if you like, but again, you can use equation number 3. But this time, PI is required and GST is given. So from equation number 3, which I need to rearrange, the GST amount is equal to PI over 11. Now we'll finish off this section by showing you how you can calculate GST formulas using Microsoft Excel. And for that purpose, I will be using exactly the same table. So we're going to basically replicate that exercise using Microsoft Excel. So let's go. In this section, I will show you how to use Microsoft Excel to perform GST related calculations. Just to make sure that we're all on the same page, this exercise is applicable specifically when the GST rate is equal to 10%. And in that regard, I've listed the corresponding formulas up on the screen for your reference. Now, to get started, let's just look at this receipt. What we have a list of product in column B. We have the price excluding GST in column C, the GST amount in column D, and the price including GST in column E. So we start with cell C7, the price excluding GST for the detergent. Since we have the price including GST, which is $23, and as per formula number 5, all what we have to do is simply divide that amount by 1.1, and that would give me the price excluding GST. So how do we reflect that in column C7? We'll start by typing equal, which means that this is a formula, and then E7 would be the price including GST, so that's E7, then we divide it by 1.1 and hit enter. Now I have the price excluding GST, which is $20.91. Now the GST amount can be calculated using any of those formulas. The easiest way is using equation number 1. What we have to do is subtract the prices from each other to get the GST amount. So let's go ahead and reflect equation 1 in cell D7. And we do that by simply typing equal the price including GST, which is E7 minus C7. And the answer is $2.09. Now we just go and do the water now. The water is, as if you just look up here, it indicates it is GST exempt. So I don't need to bother and use any of the equations. It just in that cell, which is D8, I simply type 0. And since this is 0, it means the price before and after tax is exactly the same thing. And since the price after tax is 7.35, it means the price before tax is also 7.35. So in this case, C8 is equal to E8. Now moving on to chocolate, this time we have in C9 the price excluding GST, the price excluding GST. So to calculate the GST amount when the price excluding GST is given a number of ways. Well, probably if you like, and at equation number 2 here, it states that if I simply divide that amount, 55.50, by always the number 10, and always the number 10, then I get the GST amount. So let's go ahead and reflect that formula in cell D9. So what we have to do is select C9, that's the price excluding GST, and then we divide it by 10. And the GST amount is $5.55. Now the price including GST can be calculated using equation 5 if you like, equation number 5, or actually equation number 4, since we have PE. So we simply type equal, and then since we have this number 1.1, and then we times it by C9, which is the price excluding GST. And it's $61.05 is the answer. Now notice how for the wine, the calculation of D10 and E10 is pretty much the same as for the previous example for the chocolate. So what I can do actually, I simply highlight and copy down. All what I'm doing here, I'm just telling Excel to copy the same attribute for the chocolate and replace it or put it in the wine section. So I should get more or less, not exactly the same answer, but the same formulas are applicable here. So chocolate is done. Now, in terms of the cake, we have now the price before and after tax, and we need the GST amount. So we can use a number of ways of doing it. So you can, for example, use equation number one. It's very simple. You just subtract the prices from each other. But I'm going to go ahead and use something else. I'm going to go and use equation number three. Number three states that if I simply divide E11 by the number 11, I get the GST amount. So we reflect that by simply typing equal and then E11 over the number 11. And it's $2.35. Now the salt, we've got an asterisk here. It means there's no tax on it. So again, what we can do, we can simply type 0. And of course, the tax before GST is equal to the price the tax after GST, or the price after GST. So it's actually equal to E12. Now, this is an interesting one. This time, it's a different scenario. We have the GST amount, but we do not have any information about the prices, be it before or after tax. We only have the GST amount. So how do we go about calculating the price before and after? So looking at equation number 2 here, it states that if I have the GST amount, I simply multiply it by 10 to arrive at the price excluding GST. So we go ahead and reflect it as follows. So we type equal, and then we simply get the GST amount, which is D13, and we multiply it by 10. So now the price before GST is $23. Now it's exactly the same thing for E13, the price including GST, but this time we use equation number 3. So what we do, we take the price, the GST amount here, and then we multiply it by 11, and we get $25.30. $25.30. Now let's do the total now. To do the total, we simply have to run a sum for each of the columns. So we can simply sum the information in column C, and it gives me a total of $170.76 being the price of all the items before GST. I can replicate the same thing, or I can simply drag to the right hand side, which will give me the same results. So in total, the customer paid $185.90. Out of that is $15.14, which goes to the taxman, and $170.76, which goes to the retailer. Now, before we finish this exercise, one more thing I would like to highlight. Let's say, for example, I have the total here, and I would like to calculate the GST amount from the total. So forget about this section for now, and say you've on the actual receipts, you've got only the totals. So if I just come here and say, look, if I simply divide the price including GST, which is E15, I divide it by 11 as per equation number 3 to find out the GST amount. If you do that, you will get $16.90, which is not really equal to the one we've calculated when we did the calculation individually. And as I said before, this is because this receipt has a mixed GST, not GST amount. You've got certain products with GSTs and other products with no GST. So that's why you gotta do it individually to calculate the GST amount, and that's why it's not matching, since we have two items, the salt underwater, which are GST exams. So we cannot do it this way. We gotta do it individually the way we did it. And the tax amount is $15.14. Now, for those people who are keen to learn about the source or where the 5 GST formulas come from, I will show you right now. Just remember that the derivation of these formulas are applicable when the rate is 10%. So let's just get started with equation number 1. Well, equation number 1, we don't need to prove it. It's straightforward. It states that the GST amount is equal to the price, including GST, minus price excluding GST. Equation number 2. It states that the GST amount is equal to PE over 10, or the 10th of the retail recommended price. So where does this 10 come from? Well, to understand the origin of this formula, we need to understand the GST requirement, or what the taxman wants from the retailer. The taxman states that the GST amount must be equal to 10% of the retail recommended price. So if you translate this into a formula, the GST requirement is that it must be equal to 10% of the price excluding GST, which is the retailer recommended price. So this 10%, if we convert this into a ratio, becomes 10 over 100 times PE. However, 10 over 100, if you simplify it, that equals to 1 over 10. If we come and replace it here, it becomes 1 over 10 times PE. You can also write it as follows, PE over 10. And that's equation number 2. Again, if you look at it from the GST or the taxman perspective, he is asking the retailer to actually pay him back or give him 1/10 of the retailer recommended price. He's not asking him to give him part of his share. So if you just look here and at the whole block here, the price excluding GST, okay, excluding GST, and we divide this into exactly 10 segments. Okay, the taxman is telling the retailer, I want you to take one part, any part, and then add it on top of it, and that becomes the GST amount, and I want you to give it back to me. I don't want to take anything from the retailer. I actually want you to give me 1/10 and put it on top of the retail recommended price and call this the GST amount, which you have to pay back to the taxman. So that's what the GST formula number 2 implies. It means that the taxman wants 1/10 of the price excluding GST. Now moving on to equation number 3, where GST is equal to PI over 11. To prove equation number 3, we will have to use equation number 1 and equation number 2. So I'm going to rewrite both equations here. That's number 1 and number 2. Now, at the moment, GST is the subject in this formula. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to make PE the subject. So in other words, PE is equal to 10 times GST. So it's the same formula here, but just rearranging it to make PE the subject. And I'm going to call this equation number 2a. Now, if I come to equation number 1 and rewrite it as follows, GST is equal to PI, but this time PE will be replaced with equation 2a. It becomes 10 times the GST amount. I'm going to take the GST term on one side of the equations. So it becomes GST plus 10 GST is equal to PI. So when you take this to the other side of the equation, you have to change the sign. Now, if I take GST as a common factor, it becomes 1 plus 10 equal PI. And so that's, in other words, 11 GST equal to PI. I divide both sides of the equation by 11. They cancel out. And I'm left with GST equal PI over 11. Hence, equation number 3. So another way of reading equation number 3 is that the GST amount is equal to 1/11, this time 1/11 of the total money collected from the customer, which is the price, including GST. So it's either the GST amount is equal to 1/10 of the recommended retail price, or 1/11 of the price, including GST, or the price paid by the customer. So in either cases, you will get exactly the same answer. Now let's go ahead and prove equation number 4 and equation number 5. Starting with equation number 4, to prove equation number 4, we need to understand what the requirement is in terms of the price including GST. Now the price including GST, or from a tax point of view, is equal to the price excluding GST plus the GST amount, which is 10% of the price excluding GST. So what the customer is paying, he's paying the retailer share, that's the retailer amount of money, but also he's paying the GST amount, and that GST amount is equal to 10% of the retailer recommended selling price. Now with that in mind, we can rewrite the equation as follows: PE plus 10% as a ratio is equal to 10 over 100 PE, but again, they're equal to 1 over 10, which is equal to PE plus 1 over 10 PE. Now I'm going to go and take PE as a common factor, becomes 1 plus 1 over 10. And if we take 10 as a common denominator, and do some additions here, 11 over 10. But 11 over 10, if you just punch in the number, the calculator is equal to 1.1. So that's why I can rewrite the equation as 1.1 PE, and that is the price including GST, hence proving equation number 4. Now to prove equation number 5 here, let me just make some room. All what we're doing here, we're simply rearranging equation number 5, equation number 4. So if I come here and write equation number 4, PI equal 1.1 PE, so that's number 4, I can divide both sides by 1.1, and that cancels out, becomes PI over 1.1 equal to PE. Now you can flip the equation. PE equal PI over 1.1. And that is equation number 5. So once you prove equation number 4, then equation number 5 is straightforward. In the previous sections, we've discussed the application of GST at the rate of 10%. Now in this section, you will learn how to derive, apply, and use the GST formulas for any given GST rate. Now to determine the formulas, let's consider this product represented by this block, whose price before tax is PE, after tax is PI, and GST is the tax amount which is applicable at any variable rate. For instance, we will call it R. So R is any GST rate and is expressed in percentages. Now, here is a list of the GST formulas applicable for any GST rate. Let's go through each, and remember that R is any GST rate and is expressed in percentages. Now, starting with formula number one, it is exactly the same, irrespective of the GST rate, whether it's actually 10%, 20%, or any other rate. GST formula number one still valid. And to prove it, we simply say, let's say, for example, I have a product after tax with the value of $22 and before tax of $20. So the GST amount is simply the differential between the two prices, which is 22 minus 20. So the GST amount is $2. The GST amount is $2. Now, the GST rate is not actually shown here, but I can still see that to jump from $20 to 22, there is a tax rate of 20%. So the tax rate is built in the formula, but it's not actually shown here. So the bottom line to prove equation number one is simply, for any GST rate, you simply subtract the prices before and after tax. Now, moving on to equation number two, it states that the actual GST amount can be calculated by simply multiplying the price before tax or the retail recommended price by the GST rate, any GST rate. So let's say, for example, my GST rate is 18%. So if that's the case, GST amount can be calculated using formula number two by multiplying 18% by the price before tax. Now, to simplify this, that is equal to 0.18 times PE. Let's say, for example, my tax rate is 22%. Then my GST amount would be equal to 0.22 times PE. If it is 30%, it is 0.3 times PE. So it is simple, straightforward. You simply multiply the tax rate by the price before tax for any GST amount. Now, equation number three is really the interesting one, which requires calculating the GST amount when I have the price after tax. And if you recall from the previous sections, when the rate was 10%, that formula equates into something like GST equal PI over 11. So let's see what does the formula look like, when we apply it for any rate. So let's start with equation with the tax rate of, say, again 18%. What formula number three dictates is that you simply put the rate on the top and also at the bottom, but at the bottom you just add 100% to it and then multiply the whole lot by PI. So if the GST rate is 18%, my GST amount is equal to the rate itself, which is 18%, over the rate itself at the bottom, but you add 100% to it. So it's 118%. Remember, you always add 100% to the rate. And the whole thing is multiplied by the price, including GST. So let's say, for example, my tax is 22%. Then really my GST amount is equal to 22% over 122%. Multiplied by the price including tax. If my tax rate is 30%, so it's really 30% the GST amount over 130%. And so on. Now moving on to equation number four, which describes the relationship between the price before and after tax when at any given GST rate. So it states the following: to calculate the price, including GST, when the price excluding GST is given, you simply take the rate, whatever the rate is in percentages, and you add 1 to it. So let's take an example. If R equal 18%, and so my price after tax is equal to 1 plus 18%. 1 plus 18% multiplied by the price before tax. So that can be simplified into something like 1.18 times PE. If my tax rate is 22%, then my PI becomes 1 plus 22% times PE, which is equal to 1.22 times PE. And for 30%, PI becomes equal to 1.3 times the price excluding GST, and so on. Now notice how we have this number here, 18. If I have the tax rate is 18, so really it's 1.18, and this 18 comes from the tax rate itself. Again, 22%, it's 1.22, and 22 comes from the 22%, and so on. Now, equation number 5 is more or less like equation number 4, but this time we just swap it the other way around. I have the price including GST, and I need to calculate the price before. So let's say, for example, my rate is 18%, and I would like to know what is my recommended retail price if the GST rate is 18% and the price after tax is already given. So as per equation number 5, what I have to do is take PE equal the price after tax, and then at the bottom it's 1 plus the rate itself, which is 18%. Now that equals to PI over 1.18. Just notice the difference between this formula and that formula. Here we multiply by 1.18. Here we divide by 1.18. In the case of, say, the rate is 22%, my price, or my formula number 5, becomes PI over 1 plus 22%, and that equals to 1.22. And when the GST rate is 30%, again, that equal to PI over 1.30, and so on. Now let's look at this example where the tax rate is equal 15%. And let's go ahead and reflect that tax rate right across the board and see what the formulas look like at that rate. Starting with formula number 1, well, formula number 1 doesn't change. And this is simply because, and as I said before, the tax rate is not part of the Formula 1. In other words, it's not really reflected in it. So it stays exactly the same and doesn't change at all. Now, in terms of formula number 2, it states that the GST amount is equal to 15% of the retailer recommended price, or PE. Now let's look at this example of a receipt taken from a restaurant where the customer paid in total $13.90. They purchased four products. Each product is taxed at the same VAT rate, which is 19%. And the amount shown right across here is the amount paid for each item after tax. So in total they paid 13.90 euros, which includes the 2.22, which is the VAT amount charged on the total. So how did they arrive at that amount? Now, if you just look at the receipts here, you see that you have the price before and after VAT. So you simply subtract 11.68 from 13.90. In this case, it's very simple. See, the results will give you exactly 2.22. But now our receipt shows the price before tax. So let's say for the sake of this example, I don't have the price before tax. And I want to verify, or I want to calculate the tax or the VAT amount, based on the price, including tax. Now, there's two ways of doing it here. I can actually do it individually for each item, individually calculate the VAT amount, then add them up, or I can actually do it at the total level. So let's try both ways. So if you do it at the total level here, and this is the price, including VAT, or including GST, and from formula number 3, the VAT amount is equal to 19 over 119 times 13.90, and the answer is 2.22, which is the answer here. Now, since the VAT amount is consistent, i.e. it is the same for all the products, so I'm going to try and calculate the VAT amount for each item, then add them up together. So if I just come here, and this is the price including GST. So if I just come here and say, well, the VAT amount or the GST amount paid on this individual product is equal to 19 over 119%, and that again, as per equation number 3, we multiply by 2.5. That equals to 0.40. If I repeat the same thing for item number 2, this time we multiply by 1.7, and it's 0.27. Now item number 3, is equal to 0.77, and the last item times 4.90 is equal to 0.78. So that's the VAT amount. That is the VAT amount here. Okay, so if I add up all the VAT amount, I will end up with 2.22, which is the same as the one we got at the total level. Now let's look at this final example before we move on to the next section. Now this particular example is quite interesting because we have mixed VAT amount or mixed percentages. So what do we have here? We have a receipt where a customer bought a number of items and they paid in total 78.30 euros. So that is the price after VAT or after tax. That's PI, and which includes an amount of 10.44, and that is the VAT amount. Now, if I want to actually verify that amount, I can simply go to equation number 3, which state that I have to multiply PI by the percentage to get the VAT amount. But in our case here, we have two percentages. We have the 10% and the 25%, because in certain countries the tax rate is not fixed. So what do we do about this specific case? So we have to actually calculate the tax amount or the VAT amount at the individual level. And the way to do that, if you simply come to the amount being paid by the customer at point of sales, again, it's 78.30. That 78.30 has been split into two amounts, 47.80, which is taxable at the rate of 10%, and 30.50 taxable at the rate of 25%. And when the calculation is being done, we end up with a VAT amount of 4.34 and 6.10 respectively. So let's go ahead and verify those two numbers using equation number 3. So to start with, let's start by writing the total amount paid by the customer. So that's BI, including VAT, which is in euros, is 78. Oops, let me just fix this. 78.30, which consists of 47.80 plus 30.50. Now the first part is taxable at the VAT rate of 10%, and the second one at 25%. All right. Now to calculate the VAT amount, now we start with the one which is taxable at 10% here, and using equation number 3, so I'll write the equation number here. It is 10% over 110% multiplied by 47.80, which is equal to 4.34, and that is the amount here. In the same way, we do it for the remaining amount, which is taxable at the rate of 25% over 125% times 30.50, and that equal to 6.10, and that is the second VAT amount. And of course, if we add the two together, we get 10.44, which is the VAT amount. Now, one thing I would like to leave you with before we move to the next section, but to explain it, let me just first draw the block, which is a summary of the findings. So yes, we know that this is the VAT amount, and that amount goes to the taxman, which is equal to 10.44, and the amount paid by the customer at point of sales is 78.30 euros, so that's PI. All right. Now, if we just subtract the first from the second one, or 10.44 from 78.30, I will get the price excluding VAT, which is 67.86. It's not shown here on the receipts, but just for the purpose of explaining, I've just had to actually mention it here. So really, what I would like to say, if I come and divide 10.44, which is the VAT amount, and I divide it by 67.86, which is PE, so that's the VAT over PE, and multiply the whole lot by 100%, I will get 15.33%, which is the actual VAT rate applied, or in other words, it is the average VAT rate applied. So it wasn't actually 25, wasn't exactly 10%, but the average VAT rate applied on this specific receipt was 15.33%. Now let's look at some actual receipts, with this specific one applicable at the GST or at the VAT rate of 19%. And let's see how they arrive at the GST amount or the VAT amount. For your reference, I've listed the formulas for you on the right-hand side of the screen just for your quick reference. And remember, in terms of the tax payable by the consumer, it can be called GST, VAT, TVA, or some other names, but at the end of the day, it's the same concept but different rates. So let's look closely at this receipt. First, we'll assume that this receipts there are no VAT exempt. In other words, all products are taxable. All products are taxable. So the customer bought a number of items and they paid an amount of 15.30 at point of sale. So that's the price including VAT. The price including VAT, which includes a VAT amount of 2.44. So that is the VAT amount. So how did they arrive at that amount, which is 2.44, given that the tax rate is 19%? So if I look at the right-hand side of the screen and I've got equation number 3, since I have the price including GST, I can go ahead and calculate the GST amount. So from equation number 3, the GST amount is equal to the VAT rate, which is 19%, over the VAT rate plus 100%. So that is 119%. 119%. Okay, and then we'll multiply by the price including GST or including VAT, which is 15.30. And when I do the calculation, I will end up with something like 2.44, which is the VAT amount. So graphically, if I just come here and just draw each one. So this is the VAT amount, that's the price before tax, and that's what the customer paid at point of sales. In terms of the VAT, that is 2.44, and then price including VAT is 15.30. Now to calculate the price excluding VAT, we simply subtract the VAT amount from PI, or you can use any of the other equations. You can use equation 5 if you like. Equation number 5 is simply divide the price including GST by 119. In either case, you will get the same amount, which is really equal to 12.86. Now let's look at this example. If an item is retailed at $230, including the GST of 20%, so it's including GST of 20%. Find the GST amount. So what do we have here? So this is actually PI. Okay. We need the GST amount, so automatically it's equation number 3. So the GST amount, when the price after tax is given, is equal to the tax rate, 20% over 120% times $230, which is the price including GST, and that equals to roughly $38 and 35 cents to the nearest 5 cents roughly. Now find the price before GST. So we need PE, the price before tax. So there's a number of ways of doing it. You can actually use equation number 1 if you like, or you can use equation number 5. Let's try both of them. So from equation number 1, the GST amount is equal to PI minus PE. If you rearrange the formula, so PE equal to PI minus GST. So that's again equation number 1. And therefore, and that is equal to roughly $191.70 to the nearest 10 cents. Now let's go ahead and use formula number, say number 5 as well. From formula number 5, it's really PE equal PI over 1 plus the tax rate. In this case, we have PI and the tax rate is 20%. If you do the calculation, you'll end up with the same answer, $191.70. The current VAT in a country in Europe is 19%. 19%. If an item is priced at €233, excluding VAT, find the VAT amount. So in the previous example, we had the price including. In this example, we have the price excluding, and we have to calculate the VAT amount. So how do we go about calculating the VAT amount when the price before tax is given? Now, just look at the formulas. It's basically formula number 2. Formula number 2 states that the GST, or the VAT amount, is equal to the tax rate itself multiplied by the price excluding VAT. Okay, so in our case, so again, that is the price excluding. So if you do the calculation, so we end up with 19% multiplied by 233, and the VAT amount is equal to 44.72. Now, question B, find the price after VAT or after tax. A number of ways of doing it. You could use, for example, equation number 1, because we have PE and GST, but to just take it a little bit further, probably we'll go with equation number, equation number 4, which is another way of calculating the price after tax. So from equation number 4, the price after tax is equal to 1 plus the tax rate expressed in percentages times the price before tax. In other words, it's 1 plus 19% times 233. And that equals to 277.30. So again, just quickly see what happens graphically. The tax man will take 44.72. The retailer will take 233, and the consumer will pay the sum of the two, which is the price after tax, 277.30. Now we did this example at the tax rate of 10%. Now we're going to do the same thing at the tax rate of 15%. So I'm pretty sure by now you should be confident in doing or in completing this table, but I'm going to do just a couple for you, and then you can do the rest when you have time. Now, for the first item, which is the detergent, we have the price including GST here, and it's the GST and the price excluding GST. So since we have the price including GST, we can go and use equation number 5 here. Equation number 5, and which simply state if I divide 23 by 1 plus the tax rate, I will get the price excluding GST. And if I do that, I get $20. Again, the GST for the water is 0, and the tax before and after is exactly the same thing. Let's do another one right at the at the end. For example, the peanut, where we have the price, we have the GST amount, and to calculate the PE, we use equation number 2. Equation number 2, and if we do that, we get 15.33. And for the price, including GST, we use equation number 4, and we get 17.63. Now, if you carry on and do this, you will just get the answers, and I've just actually compiled this table for you, which shows the answers in red and the formulas in blue. In this section, I will show you how to use Microsoft Excel to perform GST-related calculations at a rate of your choice, which is typically the case in many countries where the VAT or the GST rate is not fixed. Now, for the purpose of this exercise, we will have to have the general form of the formulas, which I've listed for you up on the screen here, just for your reference. So let's get started with the detergent. Now, the detergents here, we have to calculate the price excluding GST, which is cell C7. And to do that, we need to reuse equation number 5. Equation number 5, it states that if I simply divide $23 being the price including GST by 100% plus the rate itself, then I will get the price excluding GST. So let's go ahead and reflect that formula in cell C7. In cell C7, we say, okay, it's the price including GST, which is E7. That is E7. And over, we open bracket, and it's 100%, and make sure you include the percentage sign. It's very important. Otherwise, your calculation will be incorrect. So 100% plus the rate itself. The rate itself, which is 15%. So I'm going to go ahead and type for now 15%. Now, if I hit enter, I will get $20. Now, it looks good. The answer is correct, but there's a problem here. What I did here, I have made the GST and the VAT, or the VAT rate, which is the 15%, I've made it built in the formulas. Or in other words, I've actually made it hard-coded. So in Excel, hard coding means using specific amounts. The downside of that, it becomes really tedious when the rate is changed, since I will have to go back to each cells and make the changes individually, which involves a lot of work. Now, a better approach is to insert the rate cell in a cell and use that cell as a reference. Using that technique makes modifying and maintaining your worksheet much easier. So how do we do that? So if I simply come here to the formula where I've typed in the 15% and go back, instead of typing 15%, I'm going to use the location of the 15%, which is really in cell F2. So if I hit F2, so now I'm reflecting the rate in the formula, so which is F2. If I hit enter, I still get the same answer. Now let's go ahead and calculate the GST amount, a number of ways of doing it. So let's say I'm going to use equation number 2. So equation number 2, we simply come up here and type equal, and that is equal to the rate itself. Again, it's cell F2, times the price excluding GST, which is cell C7, and we get $3. Now, in terms of the water, there's no tax on it. We simply type 0, and because of that, the price before and after tax is exactly the same thing. So I just type equal and copy the content, or reflect the content of E7 in cell E8 by simply selecting E7, or E8, sorry, it's E8. So so in terms of the chocolate, now this time we have the price excluding GST, and to calculate the GST amount, a number of ways, but let's go ahead and use equation number 2. Equation number 2 states, if I simply multiply the price excluding GST, which is cell C9, by the rate the GST or the VAT rate, which is F2, I'll get the $8.33, the GST amount. In terms of the price, including GST, we can use equation number 4. That is because I already have PE and also the rate, so it's quite straightforward. So we just come up here and type equal, and open the bracket. Then we have 1 plus the rate itself. So 1 plus the rate being F2, then close bracket, and then multiply the whole lot by the price excluding GST, which is C9. Okay, now it's $63.83. It's more or less the same thing for the wine, so we can use exactly the same concept. So it's basically the rate itself, and then we times that by the by PE, and again for the price including GST is equal to 1 plus the rate, and then multiply the whole lot by cell C10, and that is equal to $32.78. Now, in this example, we have both the price before and after tax. We need to calculate the GST amount, a number of ways of doing it. So let's go ahead just now select, let's say, for example, I'm going to use equation number 3. Equation number 3, which relies on the price including GST to calculate. Now, of course, I can use equation number 2, which is easier, but just because this formula involves a lot of brackets, I'm going to go ahead and use equation number 3. So equation number 3 states that if I simply multiply PI by the rate over the rate itself plus 100%, I get the GST amount. So we got to be careful with the brackets here, okay? So we open bracket, this is the first bracket. Then it's the rate itself, which is the R%, okay, which is the R%, and then, oops, forgot the equal sign, so let's do it again. So the equals, and then the rate itself, and then over 100% plus the rate. So I'm going to open bracket. It's very important to open bracket because we are adding the 100% plus R%. You want to tell Excel to do that, you have to use the bracket. So it's 100% plus the rate itself. Okay, now the whole thing, the whole ratio, F2 over 100% plus F2 is multiplied by PI. So to basically make sure that the calculation is correct, the whole thing means that I have to have another bracket on the left-hand side and another bracket on the right-hand side, and then multiply the whole lot by the price including GST. Okay, it's $3.53. It's a little bit tedious to do it this way, but I mean, I can use formula number 2, which is much easier. You simply multiply the rate by PE. But let's say, for example, I don't have the price excluding GST. I don't have it, then you have no choice. You have to use equation number 3. So make sure you pay attention to the number of brackets, opening and closing. Otherwise, you will not get the right answer. Now, in terms of the salt is 0 tax because it is GST exempt, as you can see, and then therefore it is $12 here. Now the peanut, the last item, the peanut, we can use equation number 2. In this case, we only have, by the way, we have the GST amount. There are no information whatsoever about the prices. All what we have is just the GST amount. So let's go ahead and calculate the price before and after tax. So in column C13, we can use equation number 2. Equation number 2, it says that if you have the GST amount and you have the rate, all you have to do, if I divide the GST by the rate itself, I get the price excluding GST. So I'm just rearranging this equation. So you think of PE as a ratio, which is equal to GST over the rate itself. So to reflect that, just come here and say, okay, it's the GST rate over the rate itself. So now we get $15.33. Now, since I have more information now, straightforward, I can use equation number 4 to calculate the price including GST. So, which is really equal to 1 plus the rate, and then we times it by the price excluding GST. And we get $17.63. Now we're done with the whole table. Let's go ahead and calculate the total. So let's just run a sum in column C. So it's simply, you can use the sum formula. So just adding all of these, and we get a total of $162.18 being the price before GST. What we can do, we can simply just copy and then drag to the right-hand side, which replicates the same attributes. So the customer paid in total $183.61, $21.43 goes to the tax man, $162.18 goes to the retailer. Now that we're done with all the calculation, let's take a look at this. So this particular invoice is applicable at the GST rate of 15%. Now, if I just go up here, and instead of 15%, I'm going to type 18%. You will see that the whole calculations have been changed. That is the beauty of actually using the GST rate as a reference rather than hard coding it. That's what I was talking about initially. So if I simply go up again here and just type 20%, will tell me what would the GST components or calculations looks like at the rate of 20%. So you have full control over it. So for the rate of 20%, the customer, of course, is paying much more GST amount, which is $27.44 versus, say, a tax rate of, say, 10%. Just keep an eye on cell D15. At the tax rate of 10%, the customer would pay $15.25. Now, let's look at this specific example, which is applicable or typically applicable in those countries where you have different tax rates for different products. So let's start on the left-hand side here. Let's say, for example, I have 10 products, and each product attracts a different tax rate. So product 1 is taxed at a rate of 10%, and product 10 is, or product 9 is taxed at a rate of 19%. And there are other products which are GST exempt. In this case, we have a list of products with the GST rate in column C. We have the price before GST, and we have to calculate the GST amount, the corresponding GST amount. Let's start with cell E3, the GST amount. Now, to calculate the GST amount when the tax rate is given and so is the price excluding GST, it's simple. We use formula number 2. I just put the formula right at the top for you here so you would remember. So we simply go up here and say, okay, it's the tax rate. And again, we should not hard code it. We will not type the actual number 10%, but we simply type the location where the 10% is, which is in this case is C3. So C3, and then it's times by D3, and now we have $1.23. So we have $1.23 being charged for a product bought for a recommended retail price of $12.35. The GST amount, many ways of calculating it. So let's say, for example, I'm going to use equation number 4. Number 4 again, it's equal. Then we open the bracket, and then we have 1 plus, then the rate itself, which is cell C3, and then the whole thing, we close bracket. So remember to open and close bracket. The whole thing is multiplied by the price excluding GST, which is D3. And by doing that, I get $13.57. Now, moving on to product number 2, I don't have to go and do the same thing all over again. What I can do, I can simply highlight those two and simply copy down. So we copy down all the way down. What Microsoft Excel, it takes the same attributes and do the calculation for us. So if I click in cell E4, which is the GST amount for product 2, and click up here, what it does really, it just reflects, formula number 2. It multiplies whatever rate is there, whatever rate, so because it's reference, by the price excluding GST, and we get the $1.07. Now the same thing for the price including GST. What it does, it's just 1 plus the rate itself over times D4, and so on. Now what we do now, let's say for example I need to find the total. Now we've got the individual calculations, so simply we're not going to add the percentages. You cannot add the percentages here. I'm going to add, see how much a customer bought 10 products, how much is the total now. So let's just run a sum here. So this is, let's say, a sum which adds up the all the components in column D. So the customer paid, or a part of this receipts is $127.24, and then if we just copy and drag to the right hand side, I will get the total. So in summary, this customer paid $143.98, $16.74 goes to the tax man, and $127.24 goes to the retailer. Now, if you look closely at this table, you will notice that the GST amount for both product 5 and product 10 is 0. And that is because the GST rate is 0. So Excel knows already, because if you put 0, all what it does is it just multiplies the 0% by the price excluding GST, and hence the 0%. The same thing for product 10. Now, another thing you need to be aware of is that this is now a dynamic calculations, in the sense that if you decided to make any changes to the tax rate, you can do that and it will automatically calculate the individual and the total. So let's say, for example, for product number 1, the tax rate has changed now from 10%, let's say to 15%. You will see that will automatically change the corresponding cells and also the total. Let's say now product number 10 is no longer GST exempt, but it's actually 2%. And again, now you will have 5 cents being paid on this specific product. Let's take one more, the 25% now. Let's say it has been reduced to 20%. Again, the tax has changed, and so is the total. Now, the last point I would like to mention before we move on to the next exercise is, having looked at each product which attracts a different tax rate, some has as low as 0 and to the highest, which is really, 20%. Would be interesting to find out, the average GST rate applied on this list of products. So what is the average? Now, to do the average, you cannot simply average percentages. It's really misleading. One way of calculating the average GST rate is using the actual or the absolute numbers here. So to calculate the GST rate here, we can use equation number 2. But this time, what we want is R%. R%, okay? We have the GST amount, which is $17.07, and we have the price excluding GST, which is the total, $127.24. So let's go ahead and reflect equation number 2 in cell C13. So if you simply come here and type equal, which is equal to the GST amount, and that is equal to E13, and we divide it by cell D13, we get 13%. So really 13% is the average GST rate. So in other words, in this specific country, although there are a mix of GST rates, but most of the products are skewed towards the GST rate of 13%. So let's say, for example, I make some changes here. Okay, I'm going to make some changes. So I'm going to make, let's say this is 16% and 12%, and let's say 10%. And this is no longer GST exempt. Let's make it 20%. You can still calculate the average GST rate. Since this formula is linked to the total here, and those totals are really the additions of all the information in this table, you will automatically get the GST rate. In our case is 14%. So in this example, we have done the calculations on the assumptions that the GST rate and the price excluding GSTs are given, and we've calculated the GST amount and the price including GST. Now in this example on the right hand side of the screen, this time I've got the GST rate and the price including GST. So the purpose of this exercise is to calculate the GST amount and also the price excluding GST. So it's more or less the same process, the same methodology, and use the same formulas. You can pause the videos and do it yourself, or you can simply just sit back and watch me as I'm doing it. Now we've come to the end of this learning session. If this video helped you on your knowledge journey, or you think other people may benefit from it, feel free to share your experience with someone else. And remember to leave comments, suggestions, or questions in the comment section. If you are new in here, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the Insight Experts channel. Every week, I'm covering interesting and relevant topics that will help you on your building knowledge journey. My name is Nada. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep learning.